Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our online participants, and we have a very nice audience here today. So it's really my pleasure to introduce my good friend and colleague, Dr. Devorah Lieberman, and I'm going to just read a little bit from her bio, but I'll speak about her on a personal level. The University of La Verne's 18th president, the first female president, brings more than 3 decades of higher education experience, scholarship, and leadership to the institution. Since taking office in 2011, she has contributed to the well-being of the university students, the scholarly activities of the faculty, and the vitality of the surrounding community, while also advocating for engagement, inclusivity, and respect among all. She has dedicated her career to advancing 3 values: educating and cultivating future leaders, promoting inclusivity and diversity, and leading by example with integrity. Sounds like Claremont United Church of Christ. Among Lieberman's accomplishments are raising $128 million in the largest comprehensive campaign in the university's history, and certainly that's what we have in common with pastors. We also raise money for our institutions, and she does an exceptional job. Devorah, I can go on and on. She has been recognized by numerous national and international associations of higher education. She's a servant leader. The University of La Verne is an anchor institution. It's a steward place. It's an institution that serves our region, and a lot of exciting things going on at La Verne. I will share with you that I believe that Devorah has had a transformational presidency at La Verne, and just a number of really exciting things. It's one of the few private nonprofit Hispanic Serving Institutions in the United States, and certainly in California. She's just an incredible individual and a good friend. So without further ado, I'll introduce Dr. Devorah Lieberman.
Hi. Is this on? Do I need to use this maybe for, you just let me know. Everybody can hear me? We're good. Okay, so thank you. Thank you, President Morales. And first of all, no one says no to Tomas. So when he says, will you come talk to us on Sunday morning? I know that you have nothing else to do. I said, of course, I'll do anything you want, Tomas. So I'm delighted to be here, and I'm honored, and thank you. And Rick, you could be up here talking instead of me, because your contributions to the University of La Verne for decades you'll have a legacy that will live long, long, long beyond your retirement, which sounds kind of good right now after COVID for that retirement thing. But so Tomas said, talk for 15, 20 minutes, give time for questions. So that's, when you're a president and you have a microphone, 15 minutes, it's really like an hour, but I'll keep it down to 15 minutes. But let me tell you a little bit about Tomas Morales, who really is one of the most rare human beings I've ever known. I first met Tomas. This isn't your retirement talk that I'm going to give for you someday. But when I met Tomas, I was the provost at an institution in New York City on Staten Island called Wagner College. And Tomas was the president of the College of Staten Island. I did not know Tomas. He didn't know me, but we were there at the same time. And this is just an example of what kind of a leader this man is. So we are both in spin class at the Jewish Community Center. And I jokingly say, because my name is Lieberman and his last name is Morales, wow, everybody probably thought he was Jewish and I wasn't. But the truth is, He's not, and I am. So let's just get the facts out early. So we're in spin class and we introduce ourselves to each other. And he says, I'm the president. I say, I'm the provost. And so in a spin class, you have the opportunity to make a friend that will be your friend for the rest of your life. And Tomas has this, he oozes inclusion, accessibility, no judgment, and be part of my life. And so Tomas does the same thing here at the church. He does the same thing in the community. He does the same thing at Cal State San Bernardino. I'm bringing this up because this man has had such an influence on my life. When I was interviewing, or they called me, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but the search firm called and said, we've been following you for years. We understand your core. You're dedicated to diversity, inclusion, and students, #students first. And we think you should look at the University of La Verne. I'd never heard of it. I said to Tomas, wow, they've called me from across the country about this one institution. And I'm looking at it, I'm really interested. But I said, I don't think they're really going to be interested in me. They're 119 years old. They've never had a female president. Every president's been from the Church of the Brethren. That doesn't sort of fit my background. And Tomas said to me, let me have a mock interview with you. Let me talk to you about this institution. Let me talk to you about what it means to not be a president, but to do a presidency. If it were not for this man, I love you and I'm cursing you all at the same time. If it were not for this man, I would not be standing here today in the city of Claremont as the president of the University of La Verne. This man has influenced the lives of thousands of people in ways he doesn't even know he's influenced people, starting with me. So Tomas, thank you for everything. You can applaud him for that. Okay, so I'm here to talk about the University of La Verne, but I need to tell you a little bit about me. I told you how I met Tomas and how I learned about the University of La Verne. So I got a call in 2010 because I started in 2011. I got a call in 2010 from the search firm and they said, we think you should look at the University of La Verne. And as I said, I'd never heard of it. So I said to them, send me the prospectus for the university so that I have a little understanding about this private not-for-profit institution. And up till that point, I had only been at public institutions. I grew up in California. I went to Humboldt State. I went to Mount SAC. I went to Humboldt State, San Diego State. I got my PhD from the University of Florida, all publics. I taught at Cal State Stanislaus, public. I taught for almost 20 years, 18 years at Portland State University, all public. So I had never known private institutions really until I went to Wagner College in New York. And so the search firm, I said, send me the prospectus. And they sent the prospectus and the first page said, the University of La Verne, founded in 1891. And I said, wow, I've never heard of the University of La Verne. And at that time, it was 119 years old. And I said, that's interesting. And then they said, founded by the Church of the Brethren. And I said, I don't know La Verne, the church, and it said COB, Church of the Brethren. And I thought that meant close of business. So I was like, wow. So I started and I said, wow, this is like not on my radar. And I know higher ed pretty well. But then here's what grabbed me. And that's why I'm here today. It said, when this institute, and it's no longer part of the Church of the Brethren, but there's a loose affiliation, which I love. So it said, there are 4 things that started this university, 4 values that started this university. And it's the same values that is the water that the university swims in today. And those 4 values are not just in the university, but when you graduate from the university, you will be committed for the rest of your lives to these 4 values. And those 4 values are diversity and inclusion. And they were using and Rick knows this so well, they were using those words or close to those words for 119 years. Diversity and inclusion, lifelong learning. No matter where you are or what you're doing, you need to continue to learn and to grow intellectually and personally. So diversity and inclusion, lifelong learning, ethical decision-making. So when you're faced with, should I do this or this? You choose the ethical path. If we don't need that more today than ever before in this world, in this country, I don't know, it's unbelievable. And the fourth one was civic and community engagement. No matter what you do, you have to be dedicated to your community and lifting your whole community. When I read those 4 values, I said to my husband, those speak to me and how I grew up. So one very important thing to know about who I am, I grew up in Covina, which is just over the hill. I grew up in a Jewish family, a traditional Jewish family. And every week when we had our conversations about Judaism, it wasn't really about Judaism. It was about those 4 values that I just said about the University of La Verne. And my parents every week said to me, Devorah, I have 2 brothers, so they would say, Devorah, Jay, and Alan, you have one guy, you have one North Star in your life. And that North Star is Tikkun Olam, which is Hebrew, and it translates to heal the world or repair the world. Tikkun means repair or heal. And my parents would say to me every Saturday morning, Tikkun Olam, no matter what you do in life, your obligation to this world is Tikkun Olam. So when I read those 4 values, and my PhD's in intercultural communication, which is getting people with differences to recognize, respect, and get along together. So when I read those 4 values, I said, this speaks to my North Star, which is Tikkun Olam. That's why I applied to the University of La Verne, because of those 4 values. And then when they called me and said, we want you to interview, I said, to be totally honest, okay, every president before me has been brethren. Every president before I, not me, sorry, nominative case, my grammar. Every president before I was male. So do you really think they're going to go from male to female? Maybe. Do you really think they're going to go from brethren to Lieberman? I don't think so. So I said, it's a diversity thing. That's why they're interviewing me. So, well, obviously it didn't turn out that way. But when I flew to the University of La Verne for the interview, I said, I want to know the finances. I want to know the programs, all very important, especially psychology, Rick. Psychology and athletics, because you are the athletic rep. I said, I really want to listen to the students talk about their experience, because that will tell me if this university is really what they brand themselves to be. So when I flew out here, I met all the students, not all, but I met many, many, many students from the regional campuses, from the La Verne campus. And I listened to the faculty, the students, and the staff talk about the vision, the values, the mission of the University of La Verne. End of story. That's why I came to the University of La Verne. And it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. It's been hard work, but that's what I wake up every morning and I say, how can I continue to lead a university with this mission and this vision and stay true and authentic to it so students graduate with those values, give back to the community. So let me fast forward to today. And as I'd said, I grew up in Covina and went to Mount Sac and had never heard of La Verne. So since this is not a judgment, but I said, are we doing enough to raise the visibility of the University of La Verne in the region? Because if I'd never heard of it, probably many others had never heard of it as well. So part of my mission at the university is to focus on not just the values, but how are we as a university going to be distinctive? What separates us from everybody else? How are we going to be relevant? Because if you are, I don't want to use the word customer, but if your students are not interested in what you're offering and their families and they're paying all this money, you're not going to be relevant because they're not going to come to you. So how can you be distinctive, relevant, and competitive? That's driven a lot of my leadership at the University of La Verne, so that we stand out, that we are relevant, and we are valued and a choice. Because when you're a private not-for-profit, you're perceived as being more expensive than anybody else, which is not necessarily true, because after scholarships and all kinds of other things, your cost is pretty equivalent to most of the state universities, the cost, your out-of-pocket cost. So let me fast forward to who we are today. We're about 62, a little 6,000 and change numbers of students, head count. We are a comprehensive institution. That means doctoral programs, master's programs, undergraduate programs. We are the largest nonprofit comprehensive institution in this catchment area. And if you say Whittier, Whittier is undergraduate, Redlands undergraduate and some graduate, but in this catchment area, we are the most comprehensive institution. I'm not talking about USC, that school you've never heard of, or UCLA, those unknown schools. That was a joke if you're a Trojan or a Bruin. We're about 6,200 students. We are a comprehensive institution. We are the most diverse private institution in the state of California. 70% of, and I'm so proud of this, 70, and I don't underplay it. I hold it up as something we should be so proud of. 70% of our students are from underrepresented populations. Between 50-60% of our students are Hispanic. The same percentage are the first in their families to go to college. And we have an exceptional graduation rate for private institutions in the state of California, 4-year and 6-year for the undergraduate students. I talked about finances. This year, we awarded 50, and you can't compare this to other institutions. So you can't compare us to the publics because we get no state funding at all. Everything, we're tuition dependent. So when I tell you the scholarships amounts that go to students, it comes from our base budget because we get no external funding unless it's from a foundation or somebody wants to make a donation, but nothing from the state. So this year we awarded $58 million, which is about 30% of our budget, $58 million in scholarships to students so they can graduate without, everybody talks about enormous debt. Our undergraduate students pay out of pocket about $6,000 a year because they qualify. Most of our students are middle and low income. They qualify for Pell Grants, Cal Grants, and the rest is on us. So they graduate, so they pay about $6,000 per year out of pocket, and over 4 years to graduate with a degree at under $30,000. That's less than a new car. I'm proud of that because that students will have some skin in the game. They can take out no interest loans, all kinds of stuff. And you may say, well, education should be free. Well, maybe it should be. But when you're a tuition dependent institution like the University of La Verne, where classes are 12, 13 students, that's the average. And most of our classes are fewer students than that. A phenomenal career services, unbelievable support for the families and the students. It just goes on and on. So I'm proud of the cost. I'm proud of what we deliver. I'm proud of the students when they graduate and they go on. One of the phrases that we coined is called the brain remain. Everybody talks about the brain drain, students graduating and leaving and going to other parts of the world or the country. We believe in, it's great if you want to come to the University of La Verne from wherever you are, but most of our students come from this region. Like 80% of our students come from this region. And the brain remain is you come from this region, you graduate, you go back to the region, and you lift your whole community through your professions and how you're serving. So currently we have 4 colleges. The College of, it's called the La Verne College of Education. It's got a doctoral program, many master's program, undergraduate program. About 30% of the superintendents in the state of California who have a doctorate earned it from the University of La Verne. We're proud of that. Then we have the College of Business and Public Management, and the LA Business Journal ranks business schools throughout this region. USC, UCLA, University of La Verne, Pepperdine. That was the ranking this year. We're proud of that. Next year, it may flip in Pepperdine, but this year we're 3rd and I'm taking that. Yay. So I said, and then the College of Law. The College of Law is an incredible resource for this region. 35 sitting judges in this region graduated from the La Verne College of Law. It's doing amazing work. And the 4th college, Rick's College, is the College of Arts and Sciences that has undergraduate, master's in family therapy, and a graduate and a doctoral program in psychology that Rick was part of. And the College of Arts and Sciences is sort of the core of the general education, but then we also have those programs. July 1st, around the corner, we are launching a 5th college. And that college is called the College of Health and Community Wellbeing. So a number of years ago, we said, not what do we think is best for this region. We went out and said to the region, we did all this research, what are going to be the most needed jobs in the next 20 to 30 years? Everything that came back to us had to do with health. Nursing, physician assistant, occupational therapy, physical therapy, psychology, social work. So all of these health-related fields. And we said, okay, it's time to pivot. We need to invest in health professions. So we took the professions that currently exist at the University of La Verne, like psychology, and we collapsed them into this new college. So there are 9 programs. Psychology, health services management, I could go on, physician assistant. So we collapsed these 9 programs into this new college that's launching in a couple of weeks. And then we said, okay, we need to invest in what are the most needed. So we said, what are the most needed professions and which of those professions are the most aligned with the students who attend the University of La Verne? And they came back and said, well, they're probably not going to be interested in the MD and other health professions, but they will be interested in psychology, physician assistant, nursing, occupational therapy, physical therapy. So this college now has these 9 programs. This fall, we're launching our nursing program, and the first one is called RN to BSN. RN is 2 years. And it's a 1-year online program to get your bachelor's in nursing. And then the following year, we'll launch a full nursing program. Following that will probably be occupational therapy and physical therapy. My point is, higher education today cannot be what higher education was 20 or 30 years ago. And most of us graduated in a traditional higher education environment. The higher education today has to be about, in my opinion, what does the region need and what can we do? We have to listen to the region so that we say we're here to serve this region and we are going to create our internal higher education environment at the university to partner with the region. So it's not the region and the university. We are sort of blended so that, and when Tomas said that the University of La Verne is considered an anchor institution, That's exactly right. Our job as an anchor institution is to say, how do we better serve our region? And since most of our students come from the region, let's provide the skills and the professions and the careers so that they're successful and the entire region is lifted. So in conclusion, we're here to serve you. So as you're listening to me talk about the University of La Verne, and you may be thinking, how can I get involved in making the University of La Verne stronger, better, richer, a more beautiful tapestry? Then please talk to me afterwards, because your participation in the University of La Verne will make us stronger and our whole region stronger. So, oh my God, 9:28, yay. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll start with the first question. We have to go to the mic, so that our online audience can hear us.
Oh, and see these little handouts that I have? Tomas said you don't have to bring anything, but this is a brief overview of the University of La Verne that you're welcome to take. And it has everything I said and more. Our athletic programs, our budget, our international numbers, etc. Okay.
So Devorah, one of the things that I've been so impressed, the work that you did at Wagner in community service learning, the work that you're doing at La Verne and community service learning, getting students to go out into the community, your relationship with the Fairplex, the fact that your board of trustees are civic and business leaders from this region primarily. Talk to me a little bit about, or talk to us a little bit about the work that you're doing with the Laverne Experience. I think that's
Great.
a very unique
Thank you.
Educational experience for your students.
Thank you. That was a great question, Tomas. Thank you. And I didn't even prompt you to ask that question.
I'll collect it.
So every institution says we're here to serve our community. Students are going to graduate having a civic or a community engaged experience. But unless you're very, in my opinion, unless you're very strategic about how to embed it in the curriculum and the co-curriculum so that students are reflective about it and can connect it to their head and their heart and what they're learning, it's just another activity. So we were very, very strategic and deliberate about how to embed civic and community engagement into the curriculum, undergraduate and graduate, and connect it with the community so that the community is very involved. So I came in 2011, and in 2012, we created and implemented something called the Laverne Experience. And the Laverne Experience is, in a nutshell, every entering student at the University of La Verne participates as a first-year student or a transfer student in the Laverne Experience. So the Laverne Experience at the freshman level are bundles of classes, 3 classes that are bundled together from different disciplines. So it could be psychology, which would be Rick. I would be a partner teacher. I'm in the Department of Communications because I teach intercultural communication. The 2 of us would each have 18 students in our classes, the same 18 students. And Rick and I, he would be teaching psychology, I'd be teaching intercultural, and Rick and I would meet so often that we would be seeing the connection between our 2 disciplines. And then the students would also see the connections because we teach separately, but we understand where our curricula sort of connect with each other. In our 2 classes, our 18 students would do a community-based activity around psychology and intercultural communication. So maybe we would be working with immigrants. Maybe through the pandemic, we would be working with people from different cultures on mental health issues. And our students would be doing that in the community. The 3rd course in this bundle is a writing course, a reflection course, so that they're constantly writing about what's in our curricula, what did they do in the community, and how does the community activity and the curriculum connect, so that they start seeing a purpose-driven life, that this is part of their purpose, is to be giving back through the skills. So it helps them understand the subject matter. It helps them understand what's going on in the community, and they feel like they're making a difference. So every student, and there are 35 of these bundled 3 courses, so that every student is in one of those. It's called the Flex, the first year, the freshman Laverne Experience. So every entering student is in a Flex class and is doing a community engaged activity. In their sophomore year, they take Solve, the sophomore Laverne Experience. And in those Solve courses, they continue with some community engaged activities, but also they are required to go to other events on campus that aren't related to their courses, so that they get connected to the whole university. And in the second year, the Solve year, deeply embedded into that course is career services and career development. And I don't say ever, what's your major? I say to every student, what's your mission? So in that Solve course, they are exploring, what is my mission and how do I select the major so that I can achieve that mission? In their senior year, they do a senior project as part of the Laverne Experience that's deeply related to their major, their mission, and the community. So that's the core of the Laverne Experience. And it's helped with retention for students. It's helped with students finding their way through the university. And then a couple of years ago, well, the pandemic kind of makes my mental calendar weird. But just before the pandemic happened, we built a new gorgeous building on campus called the Ludwig Center. Art and Sarah Ludwig funded it. The Ludwig Center for Spirituality, Cultural Understanding, and Community Engagement. So those 3 words, spirituality, cultural understanding, and community engagement, I believe bring together all of our values. We wanted to create a space and a place where every student says, this is where I belong. Whether I'm a football player on the football field, I also have another space on this campus where I belong. So that new building, which is just across from the psychology department and is spectacular, so many things happen in that building that bring together all components of the Laverne Experience. So the community engagement, a lot of stuff happens in there. And the interfaith. So it's not about having a religion, it's about respecting the spirituality of other religions, or if you have no religion. And it's called cultural understanding. So everybody can begin to understand the other and not just themselves. So when we talk about community and civic engagement, it's not just doing something in the community, it's doing things in the community that positively impact the community, connect to what you're learning, and hopefully connect to your mission and choices of professions that you're going to enter. The university has gotten tremendous accolades and recognition nationally for this Laverne Experience and what we're doing to support the students and the community as an anchor institution. Great question. Yes.
Great. Can you go to the mic?
Oh, here, I can give this to you.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'll
Oh,
First, congratulations on your many successes. It sounds great.
thank you.
I have a 2-part question. One, in order to achieve the mission of University of La Verne, which I totally agree with and is very important, I wonder what you do to attract faculty members who can connect with students on that level. One of the most difficult parts of my job was to search the country to find people who could relate to unrelatable students as they currently can be. And then secondly, how do you ever to give you a brief example, we had a chemistry position that was open. We had a family come out from the East Coast to look at the position. We were paying, I think, $74,000. And one of the things we did is we took them out to look at houses in the area where they could live. And this particular family had 3 children. And I remember them coming back and the wife crying as we said, she said, I love this area. But she said, we don't have $800,000
Which is
or
nothing now.
yeah, $1 million or whatever it is now to buy a new home. So how do you bridge that gap? And then how do you find faculty members who fit nicely into the mission that you've defined?
My God.
That's a great
You're taking me to a dark place.
That's a major challenge.
Yeah. So I'll start with the second question,
Sure.
faculty. That is such a good question, and I don't have a great answer because we experience the same thing. And so on several, and because we are so committed to diversity, we want to have quality faculty, absolutely. And not but, it's an and. We want our faculty, our students look like this region. Our faculty don't look like this region, like the diversity in the region. And we are working so hard to attract the quality faculty and the diverse faculty who say, this is where I belong. Just like that building, I want the faculty to say, this is where I belong. And at the end of the day, money matters. Yeah, I think that was a song by somebody. Money matters. And I'll be honest, we have lost several faculty because they said, wow, the CSUs, we love you and hate you. The CSUs pay more than the University of La Verne pays. And they've got this sort of step, I don't know what it's called, but percentage increases every single year. And if you retire after so many years, you've got a phenomenal retirement package. Right. So it's almost impossible to compete with that. And we have many faculty who've left and said, we love you, but Tomas is paying more. And I'm like, but he's not as nice as I am. And, but it's very, very hard. And I came to the university. I remember when I interviewed, I said, I don't care what, and I know I'm making more than a faculty member, but I said, I don't care what the salary is. I want to be at that university because of the mission of the institution. I'd like faculty and staff to have the same feeling. I don't have a great answer. I do know that we have to figure out, which I think we're doing, we have to figure out how we can be competitive with our salaries. We have to. We'll never be 100% competitive, but what are the other things? How can we, like this year for a general increase, and I realize inflation is at 8% or something. We gave a 4% increase in a general increase, which is the largest general increase the university's ever given in 1 year, because I don't want to be losing more faculty because they feel like they're falling behind with their compensation with the other CSUs and the community colleges and the UCs. I think we're absolutely competitive salary-wise with the other privates, even ahead of them. So I don't have an answer other than we have to say our faculty are the core of the institution. Our staff are fantastic. They support everything. But if you don't invest in your core, you're going to lose your core. So we have to figure out how best to do that. And I want to retain those faculty who are the most committed to the mission. That for me is, and there are faculty who are not really committed, and it's just, and I hear this all the time. I'm stuck at Laverne because my partner got a job at one of the Claremonts. And then it's sort of like, I don't want that. I don't want to hear that. I want you to be at Laverne because you love the mission and our students and who we serve and what we do. So I want to invest in those faculty who believe in exactly what you say. And we do have a position open in chemistry. Didn't you say that's your field? So,
We were interviewing someone.
oh, because I was about to say, stay after class. I want to talk to you. And what was your first question?
The first question was,
How to find them.
it's very.
Oh, how to find
difficult,
faculty.
Yeah, to find faculty who can, at least in our instance, it was during an interview, it's very difficult to ascertain whether or not this person will be able to make a connection.
Yeah,
I mean, we could hire faculty all day long to stand up in front and lecture about, post-American something or other.
right.
But to get someone who can connect with the student on his or her level and really be meaningful to them is
Hard.
almost impossible.
Yeah,
for us.
but tell me your first name.
Steve,
Steve. Steve, I may be naive, but I believe that when potential candidates are interviewed at the University of La Verne, I think they have lots of options where they can go. I think that the ones that choose the University of La Verne are choosing us because of that connection and that mission. I think our faculty are phenomenal, and I really believe that. I think that's why they come, and they don't often stay. And when they leave, they may just be disappointed in something, and also because they would be paid more at a CSU. And I think that's accurate.
Yeah, I'll comment as well. We have a problem in the United States, in that we don't value educators. And whether it's K-12 or higher education. And so we have a challenge, even though we may be able to we may have a more competitive compensation package than Laverne, we're losing faculty to community colleges. Community colleges actually pay more for their faculty than Cal State San Bernardino. One of the things that we're trying to do, and when I first came to this region in 2001, I wanted to find a community that had a very good school district, had a sense, and I found Claremont because Claremont's description was a city of PhDs and parks, and that I think is still very relevant today. But a new faculty member today, whether they're at Laverne or Cal State San Bernardino, cannot afford a home, in Claremont, and that's the reality that we face. And our society must invest in education at all levels if we're going to move forward as a society.
I couldn't agree more. And Steve, on top of that, because we're talking about faculty, I want to spend just a minute in talking about the staff that are not faculty. So when you talk about the Great Resignation, our IT, HR, advanced, our fundraising arm, our non-academic offices are, I'm scared because the number of IT folks who are being paid double, triple in other parts of the country, they can live here and work 100% remote. I can't compete with that. So I keep making counter offers, and I'm like, I don't know where we're going to get the money, but we can't lose this person. So everything is upside down. I mean, really upside down, and it's frightening, but it's also, I'm trying to be an optimist. It's giving us great opportunity to rethink sort of how we serve the students, how we work together, where are we duplicating so that we can combine some services across all the colleges. But the other thing, when you were saying faculty, we're opening this new College of Health and Community Wellbeing. And we've been advertising for a dean for 6 or 8 months. And we've made a couple of offers. It wasn't competitive enough financially. So, and I'm not settling for this dean of this new college. It's the first new college in probably 100 years or something. So we're not settling for someone who couldn't find a job somewhere else. We want a great dean. So we're opening this new college. We don't have the new dean yet. And that's scary, but we'll figure it out. But it has so much to do exactly what you're saying about the finances and affordability. Yes.
I know, just to add on, to pile on, I understand there's a major demographic shift where there's going to be less students going to college.
Right.
How do you square that with opening a new school and all of that? You know, less kids overall and being private. Right?
And what is your name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. That is an excellent question. And I have a pretty easy answer for that. And you're accurate. Fewer students graduating from high school, more adult students who are saying, why do I, like our ages, why do I even need to go to college when I can get a certification through Amazon, through the Amazon University, and I can be a coder at Amazon and make triple of what I would have made, et cetera, et cetera. So it's hard that we have to be exactly what Tomas is talking about, very aware of the higher education landscape. And as we're talking about the demographic cliff, that there are fewer graduating. So we have to be very aware. So for me, flipping the question and not saying, what do I think the region needs, but flipping it and saying, what do you need? So this college grew, this new college was created in answer to that question, what does the region need? There are not enough institutions graduating students who are nurses, physician assistant, health services managers, social work, psychologists, etc. So just as you said, to square that question, I think you said, this college is part of a sustainability plan to sustain the University of La Verne for the next 130 years. Because as people are questioning, do I really need a degree in religion when I could go to a seminary and become a priest, a rabbi? So we have to say, what does the region need? What do our students want? What's going to make us distinctive, relevant, and competitive? And to answer those questions, that's going to be the key to sustainability for our future. Okay, it's 9:50. You have to go to church.
Yes.
Oh my God, church awaits.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Tomas.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.